Supplier performance management is a subset of supplier relationship management, but as it suggests in the name, is specifically focused on performance. Now, working with our customers and our partners, there's no one view of supplier performance. It's typically made up of a few of all these following use cases and contexts. So sometimes it means business performance in terms, and this can be two-dimensional, the business performance of the buyer and how business is performing internally, but also the business performance of the supplier, and more importantly, is that supplier staying consistently growing or consistently a certain size, so there's stability or confidence given around their stability. How is the supplier performing against contract on what was envisaged and the outcomes of signing the legal agreement? How is the supplier performing against service level agreements or key performance indicators that are part of the contract performance, or in some cases aren't part of the contract but are just part of the measures around company or organisation stability, as mentioned in business performance. How they're performing against your procurement or supplier management scorecard and framework. How suppliers are performing based on interactions with your colleagues and your business at regular touch points. How their culture and their values align to yours, and their behaviours, are they acceptable? And also periodic and subjective feedback, sort of customer satisfaction survey style assessments. Brooklyn caters for all these. This is a view of a KPI and management information dashboard that you can see here. Against this system, there are 21 SLAs in effect. 155 collections have met the requirement, 39 haven't met the requirement, and then you can see the breakdown of overall passes versus failures. In this case, there's an 80% pass rate and a 20% failure rate. You can then see all of them month on month. You can then drill this down by organisation name and contract name, and then see the necessary titles here. If I switch into the platform view, what you'll be able to see from here, and particularly from a different view around metrics, which is a more advanced view, is how many metric reporting periods there are, all the metrics that have passed or failed, and from here you can get into the individual metrics. From a data perspective, what you can see within the Brooklyn platform is that this is an actual individual metric, so it has come from a contract. It's around service availability and uptime at a target of 99%, and the period was reported monthly. What you can see from here is the reporting periods and whether they pass or they fail. These can be edited manually, or what is more common is that these are sent out periodically for a supplier to attest to. Now, this is for a different metric, but this is a email that I've received from the platform around different metrics, whether it be availability, service availability and the like, and from here you can then click if you're the supplier, which gives you a cut down view of the platform, and very simply you can see who you are, what the contract is, what you're reporting on. You can say whether it's you or not, which means you can reassign the metric to someone else if necessary. But no, this is me, and I can confirm actually we got 98 this time. If needs be, I can turn on the fact that evidence is required, so you have to and are forced to upload evidence, as you can do here, but in this case it's not required. That's been reported for one metric for 1 month. That can then come back into the platform, and you can search here for all the metrics that there are in the system and see what's passed or failed, and you look at trends over time, etc. As I said, the metrics themselves, as you can go to them, you can look at metrics individually and how they've been set up and the reporting that was just undertaken. From the reporting, if there be a pass or a fail, you can then add a workflow to either do an oversight investigation, but what's more common is that if there's a failure, you can create a service credit recovery process, and then get your service credit recovered. If you go to the whole metric studio, what you can see is a list of all the metrics, irrespective of organisation or contract. You can then filter these on as necessary and see what's being reported, at what level, and what metrics there are. It's not just SLAs and KPIs that this can be used for. It can be used for controls, anything that needs to be reported on a periodic basis against any level of measure. As seen within the earlier SRM overview, what you can also do within the platform is have performance against Scorecard. So in this case, all the activities across the platform that have been review items, agenda items in meetings, actions, etc. As they've been closed out by the user, they've been scored. Those actions are aligned to a part of the framework. So it's two-tier framework, risk and compliance, BCD, business continuity, disaster recovery in this example, and this would have been logged and shown as a dissatisfied customer, supplier manager or contract manager that says they didn't provide the DCR, the DR test evidence that was contractually committed to. And over time that builds up a rich picture of interaction based. This can be summarised in a trend view. So you can see here the Initech Cloud Outsourcing MSA. It's been a bit volatile over time, whereas the new Initech Network MSA has come on and scored like a steady 6 the entire time through that management and feedback. We have performance tree maps, so you can look at grouping organisations or contracts at maybe a value level. In this case, we're looking at the Initech organisation. It's grouped at an annual value and it's grouped by contract, so we can see the best focus for us to do today is focus on the Initech Cloud Outsourcing MSA because there's a significant amount of money, $2 million going through it, and it's only got a score of 3.8. As you can see over here, some of these other are better performing. So the order we would go in is we'd look at the Cloud Outsourcing MSA, then we'd look at the Initech Application MSA, and all the other ones seem to be performing okay. We can design either using out the box CSAT, Supplier Performance Survey, or you can go in and edit using the creator to change any of the questions and the logic and the scores required of the platform. But essentially the platform can send out CSAT surveys. You can do this either manually for an organisation level or a contract level, or you can set up policies to trigger these periodically, automatically for your suppliers. When triggered, the person receiving the CSAT or the survey, you can specify multiple, will receive an email like this, giving them a deadline for answering and the ability for them to go to the survey. When they go to the survey, it's not the full system. It can be accessed either for desktop or mobile, and they will walk through a series of questions as per standard survey and assessment they'll be able to complete. And when these are completed, they come back and then they'll give you, it's possible to get this kind of balanced scorecard review. So what's the internal view across a series of framework points? What's the external view on this? And we can drill into the information as accordingly. Contract compliance and scoring can be looked at from the various studios. This is a version of the contract studio. As touched upon earlier within the contract management overview, we train our operators to be aware of all these alerts. These alerts means that there's missing some kind of data that's going to either drive performance directly or going to drive activity that's going to indicate performance, in which case sometimes alerts are set up for missing contract manager as an example. If there's no contract manager, the reviews can't take place because the reviews need a contract manager to go and manage them. So this helps drive compliance and governance, but also performance. Contract performance, when you go from the studio view by clicking the analytics button, you can get in here and get a view of performance at a contract level, in this case contract obligation status, so you can see across the system how many compliant obligations you've got, how many overdue and how many non-compliant ones there are, as well as actions that are closed, overdue or open. And then again a view of SLAs based on passed or failed. These can all be interacted with accordingly by clicking on them.